How's it going, everybody? My name is JustJarrod, but you can just call me Jared, your one-stop shop for legendary loot news and info, no grind or limbs required. Today I've got a Pagan Online loot news video for you all. Let's get right into it. I released a video on Pagan Online a few weeks ago. We talked about my first impressions of the game, and to be completely honest, I didn't like a lot of it. This was before there were any updates to the game. My first impression video was on the base version of Pagan Online back when it first hit early access. It was an action RPG that did things differently, and in my personal opinion, not for the better. Crafting was the main source of loot instead of the loot focus being on drops from enemies. Hero abilities didn't change with ability points. Crafting felt forced down your throat. There were a few things I wasn't fond of in Pagan Online. I saw promise in the game. I absolutely love the visuals and how the gameplay feels, but I felt like it would need a pretty insane overhaul for it to be a game I'd invest my time into. Flash forward to now, the developers of Pagan Online, Madhead Games, have pretty much done just that. A couple of weeks ago, Pagan Online was updated with its second huge update in a series of 3 updates called the BFPs, the Big Fucking Patches. Perfect name. This update and the one before it made a ton of changes to Pagan Online that I honestly wasn't expecting. I played Pagan Online when it first hit early access, wrote my script for my first impressions video, got in my car accident, was away from YouTube for 2 months, came back, and all of a sudden Pagan Online is a completely different game and it's way more enjoyable. I will say this isn't my new first impressions video of Pagan Online or my second impressions video, I don't know. I will have another impressions video up soon detailing my exact thoughts on what's changed loot wise and if it's for the better, once I get a few more hours into the newest version. For now, we'll just touch on a few of the most important patch notes and talk about the most important Pagan Online news that I've missed throughout the last few weeks. The first giant patch that hit Pagan Online quite significantly changed the game. Now, instead of retouching the features of Pagan Online that I didn't enjoy, I'm just going to go through all the changes that were implemented to make the overall game better. That way we're not really focusing on the negative at all. But if you are interested in what I thought of Pagan Online when the early access version launched, I'll link that video in the end card. Also note that I'm not going to touch on every single thing that was updated. At the end of the day, I still focus on loot. That's why I'm so interested and addicted to these kinds of games. The loot possibilities is what pulls me in, so I'll definitely focus on Pagan Online's changes to loot a lot more than everything else. Starting off, each playable hero in Pagan Online received a huge update in the form of ability trees. You know, those things that most action RPGs have. Every time you level up, you get something called a potency point, which you can then use to unlock a new ability or upgrade an already existing one. Ability upgrades in the ability trees actually feel like upgrades, where they change the ability instead of just adding stat bonuses or damage buffs. With the addition of the ability trees, you can actually begin to make a build with your favorite hero. This is obviously a great change. Player choice when it comes to the progression of their character is always important, as it makes the player feel like they are their character or that they own their character. This also encourages experimentation with different skills and such, which adds to replayability. Crafting. The feature I criticized the most in my impressions video has been taken down a few notches, meaning it's not the primary way to gear up your character anymore. Before, it was a necessity, now it's just something extra you can do if you want to have more control over bonuses and stats on items. The crafting level has been completely removed, so you don't feel forced to have to craft items continuously to level up to be able to craft future gear. That's completely gone. This whole change on crafting happened because Madhead Games want the focus of gear and itemization to come from drops from enemies rather than crafting, which was something the community was very vocal about, and I agree. Hack and slash games, action RPGs, games with loot at all really, are addicting because of loot drops. Having an epic item drop and being able to just pick it up right there and start using it is super cool. That's the gameplay loop of these games. I'm not saying change is bad, but there's a reason the Diablo formula is used for loot games time and time again. It's because it works exceedingly well. So well that the term Diablo clone was created to describe these games. The Skinner's Box gameplay loop is super addicting and people love it. Great change for Pagan Online in my personal opinion. With the first huge patch, they also added legendary rings and amulets, so more super high rarity items to chase, which is always good. Come August 7th, BFP number 2 releases and once again adds a bunch of new features that only got me more excited to bash more monsters' heads in with my giant axe. With the addition of the highly asked for click-to-move controls and controller support, this patch focused a ton on the end game of Pagan Online. If you play loot-based games, you know that the end game is as, if not more, important than the path towards endgame. New high-level missions that require certain items to activate, reward players with super rare recipes which are now more potent than ever, and how you obtain legendary rarity gear. With that, legendaries themselves were also tweaked quite a lot. Legendary weapons now roll with legendary powers, bonuses, and attributes that can't roll on anything else, and are usually accompanied by cool visual effects like lightning blast or flame bursts. These powers are tied to artifacts that you find, which are used when crafting these legendary weapons. You can even get a more powerful power on your legendary weapons called a fabled power. If you manage to triumph over the new Fable Forge battle, you'll be able to visit the Anvil of the Gods and gain a fabled power on your legendary weapon. Eventually, these legendary and fabled powers will be on all legendaries, not just weapons. Probably my favorite addition of the huge Pagan Online patches is the Schools of Magic. The Schools of Magic bring visual customization to your character based on how many pieces of gear you have equipped that are from the same School of Magic. Basically how it works is each item that drops has a chance to be a base item or be from one of the 5 Schools of Magic. The higher the level of the item, the higher the chance that it will drop from one of the schools. Once you have 3, 5, or 8 items equipped from the same School of Magic, more and more visual effects are added to your character depending on the amount you have equipped and the school. 3 items or more give you auras under the feet of your character, 5 items or more give you visual effects around your character, and 8 items or more grant your characters ethereal wings. Different schools have different themes and color effects, and as the game continues to grow, Madhead Games hopes to expand on this new feature to allow for grander customization and builds. Right now there are 3 common Schools of Magic and 2 more rare ones, and if you have multiple pieces of gear from the same school equipped, you also get some small stat bonuses to go along with looking way cooler than everyone else, which is nice. As with all patches to every game in existence, there were tons of other stuff added and changed in Pagan Online. Balancing changes, hero changes, visual updates, stat changes, story additions, co-op, etc., plus way more. I just touched on the big ticket items that I believe to be the most important, replayability wise and loot wise. I know I didn't go super into detail with the loot and the stats on loot and things like that, but that's mainly because so far I've had limited time with Pagan Online since its most recent patch, and I don't want to throw information your way and have some of it be incorrect, so I'll play a bit longer before I delve too deep into itemization and loot in Pagan Online. Once I get some more playtime in, I'll be uploading another impressions video, and that's when we'll really talk about the loot and if it's addicting and fun or not. That video should be up in the next few days. But wait! We're not done. There's even more news. Pagan Online officially leaves early access and launches on August 27th. Here's what will be included when the full game is out. A full story campaign featuring 8 total acts, new zones, and new maps. Click-to-move controls, which we already have, and full controller support. 2 new playable heroes, revamped crafting, and loot drop systems, which have already begun. Also, the full version will be playable at Gamescom if any of you are going to that. That begins today, actually. When the game launches, it will be $30. Right now, it's $20, so if you're even slightly interested, I would go ahead and pick it up before the 27th. I'll leave a link to the Steam page in the description. Also, if you play the game at Gamescom, you'll get an exclusive pet called Decimator the Dragon, but since everyone can't go to Gamescom, obviously, if you log into the early access version of Pagan Online during the days of the event, then you can get a different exclusive pet by the name of Mighty Mutt the Brave Raccoon. With my playtime of Pagan Online since the big updates, I definitely recommend giving it a go. Loot feels so much better and more rewarding now that they've revamped the systems, knowing that there are high tier items out there with cool legendary powers and schools of magic that evolve your character visually sounds super fun to chase and collect. I've still got a bit of playing before I manage to get to Endgame, but so far I'm having an absolute blast on the journey there. The changes and the additions to Pagan Online have been crucial and have improved the game immensely. Madhead Games has completely turned the game around and pulled me right back in. I can't wait to see what's in store after the official release on the 27th. That's it for this loot news video on Pagan Online. Let me know if you're interested at all in the game. I know this video differs a hell of a lot from my first impressions video of the game, but trust me, a lot has changed. Stay tuned for more Pagan Online news and for my revised impressions video, which should go live this week. My name has been JustJarrod, your one-stop shop for legendary loot news and info, no grind or limbs required. Like the video for, a brave raccoon pet delivered straight to your door, and subscribe for a 3-day vacation to the secret cow level that totally doesn't exist. Until next time, happy looting.